Welcome to Soul of Travel. I am so grateful today to be sitting down with Jamila Mayanja, and she is the CEO of Smart Girls Foundation in Uganda. So welcome today to this conversation.
Thank you, Kristen. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. And for those of you that are listening, we were just discussing, we're both not in our normal location. She's preparing to speak at the Youth Connect Summit in Ghana. And I haven't traveled nearly as far. I'm just at my sister-in-law's house, but we both have different internet and different environments. So we're going to just hope that fate is on our side to have a great connection here for us.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yes. So if either of us drops off, we'll be right back. Today, I'd love to share your story. I first heard Jamila speak on the Days for Girls International podcast, and I just was so inspired by your story and just your passion and your inspiration. And then also personally, I just have such a deep connection to Uganda. That was one of the trips that I took when I knew that I was a part of a global community and that I really wanted to be a part of a global community and that I wanted to bring travelers around the world to have a similar experience to me. And it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. So I am just really grateful that there's that connection on top of it. And then this month, I've been working with also with Days for Girls to promote education about menstrual health and period poverty and menstrual equity. And so this is also a topic that I know that you are really passionate about. So as we get started, I would love for you to just take a moment to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the work you do.
Thank you, Christine. My name is Jamila Mayanja. I'm the founder and team lead at Smart Girls Foundation Uganda. I'm a social enterprise that empowers girls and women. I'm very, very, very passionate about social entrepreneurship and women and girls empowerment because with the things that I do in Smart Girls, I've had experience personally that I've gone through. So they drive me to help young women in those areas. So I grew up in a family of 14 siblings raised by my dad, who had 3 wives. It's quite a big family. I went to a primary school that was called Kitante, but then later on, I went to an all-girls school that I really loved because it built me from the bullying I had prior from the primary school. And after secondary school, I moved out and went to university. While at university, I lost my dad, but later on, it was also as a drive to help me start Smart Girls. So at Smart Girls, it's all about its impact business, social entrepreneurship in helping young women and girls, in keeping them employed, healthy, but mostly trying to solve menstrual poverty, but most also solving their own economical empowerment. Mm-hmm. So we have different programs that encompass young women into entrepreneurship and young girls in staying in school, and generally both women and girls getting out of menstrual poverty.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. I think a great place to start, actually, for people that listened last week, they've gotten a little bit of understanding, but can you help us to connect the dots between menstrual equity and staying in school and having a career later in life? Because I know that that's something, especially in the United States and UK, where a lot of my listeners are from, that maybe this isn't something that this isn't a challenge that we have to overcome, that we're really blessed to have the supplies and the education and resources we need. But can you talk us through why that's so important in Uganda and for the girls you work with?
So I have this saying, and I always have this question that I always ask people and leaders in Uganda. Why are condoms easily accessible compared to pads, anything to do with products needed in that time of the month? that you would walk into a restaurant and there's a booth of free condoms and there's not a booth of reusable pads or pads in general. Or you would, even in primary schools or some government schools, you would say there's a counselor who has sometimes sanitary towels that are available, but all the time they're not available. Yet sex is a choice, and a girl, when she's getting into her menstrual time, you cannot tell your menstruation periods, please don't come this month, I'm broke, I am not in the moods, or I'm going to travel, or I'm going to a restaurant and I don't think I'll get pads there, or I'm going to a school, or I'm feeling, or my parents are poor, please, my periods do not come this time. So I always ask everybody, I always ask a school, I always ask the local community, the way you're making sure that people are not having safe sex, why shouldn't they make sure that girls have all the accessibility they need when they're in their periods? Because it's not a choice, it's a must. And with the situation that we are going through, how we take care of the choice of sex here, this is not a choice. This is something so that's the equity that is lacking here. And it starts from our families. It starts from where we grow up. In the family, it's a taboo for a girl to talk about menstruation periods here in Uganda. So by the time a girl grows up in Uganda, oh, by the way, I'm saying here in Uganda, but I'm in Ghana. So
Yeah.
when they're talking about family, and so it's in my head because I'm from Uganda. So, but it comes from the family. When I grew up, it's quite a taboo to actually talk about menstrual health. It has to be a bedroom talk. Yeah, the stigma around just even openly talking about your menstrual hygiene with even your parents. Some rural areas here, the mother has to look for what we call an auntie, so we call them a senga, or they wait for the counselors where the girls are going to school to actually start the topic. Yet this is not a choice. This is something that has to come when the girl's body is ready. So for me, when I started my period, I don't even blame my mom at all. It's just because she was also raised that way. The person who's had the talk with me was a house help who gave me toilet paper to use. And she did not even tell me that toilet paper will later fill up and I'll need to change it. Here I go to school with toilet paper and I end up mapping my dress and being bullied all throughout primary school for the girl who mapped her dress and mapped also the table. So that bullying comes from the roots of the stigmatization, the lack of menstrual equity that comes even from just within the families that girls come from. So when you add the stigmatization, the poverty, and also the fact that the community, local leaders and the government at large are not really taking this issue as an importance, girls end up staying out of school just because they fear to be bullied in school, and or they don't access what to use when they're in this time of the month in school. So it becomes a burden for them to be in school. They'd rather be at home in their own bedrooms, hidden until those 5 to 8 days are done. Hence, they're missing out on school. And when they start missing out school early, the chances of them staying in school in higher levels is quite very low. So that leads to early sex, early marriages, teenage pregnancies. So this small fact that you need to have a talk with your young girl is leading multiplying the chances of having bigger problems, gender-based violence. So it just starts from us breaking that equity and making sure it's balanced and removing away the poverty. So yeah, sorry, I'm too passionate. I can go on and on.
I'm grateful, and I'm equally passionate, which is why I immediately resonated with you when I heard you speaking. I believe really that universally this is issues that we need to look at, because I know when I grew up, we had a little bit of conversation in our school about what menstruation would be, what that would mean for a girl, but it was very diluted, and it didn't actually tell me anything about like how I was going to feel in that moment, how I was going to manage that, what kind of products I would need, how to use the products, any of that. And so there's still a lot of confusion. And I can also really resonate with not really being bullied at school, but definitely being embarrassed if a product leaked or something like that, and that you felt personal shame. You were definitely teased. I do know there were girls that maybe if they had an unfortunate incident, that would carry on with them clear until high school, that people would mock them for that experience. And then also when you commented about there being easy access to condoms and birth control, but not pads and tampons. And I remember also in college having that same thought, like, I can either pay my food bill or my phone bill or my electric bill or buy the book I need for school. But if I do that, I can't buy menstrual care products. And so, like, I think we need to be doing a better job as a global society at addressing this issue. And I have 3 daughters. And so I have really early on, like, because I had, one and the next, they were very engaged with like the birthing process and learning about bodies that way. And we've tried to create an open dialogue, but I can feel now that I have almost 12-year-old, some of that body shame and stigma and things starting to come into her from outside sources. And so it's just relighting that, knowing that these are the conversations that are going to be really important for her and her peers. And so I'm really grateful when I meet someone like you who is advocating, who is working to have these hard conversations, and who really realizes that, like you said, this is kind of a seems small, but yet it just exponentially grows in what it allows for in the future. Yeah. I wanted to talk about you. I know you say you have this kind of bottom-up holistic approach to the way you create education in your programs. Can you talk about what that means to you and how that serves the people that you work with?
So this is something I learned when I traveled to the US, Dartmouth College, and it was through the fellowship. It's called the Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders. So I was taken under the business track for 6 weeks at Dartmouth University. So we learned something called design thinking. So you know how we design, you've had such a problem in the community, and right away you think of a solution. So the bottom up is really to design with them. You design with the beneficiaries really to make sure you're coming up with the right solution. And that's what I do with all the programs that I've done. I keep them refining them within implementation. So for example, when I had first found out, when I went through my own issue, my own body shaming and my own menstrual bullying, when I went to secondary school, I went to an all-girls school, but I loved that school so much because it helped me build my self-esteem. I was with girls from all sizes, shapes, darks, colors, skins, and it felt like a safe space for me. So my work started from that time. So when I left, I used to do a lot of work for girls and women. But when I reached campus, I noticed more girls were going through worse situations. I was actually privileged for the lifestyle I had. So I went on. I didn't know by then, before I actually traveled for Yali, that I was actually doing the design thinking. I've kept on always asking beneficiaries and the people that I work with and the women that I help, what would you need? So with them, I designed the solution. So with the menstrual part, exactly, I first held an event called the Father-Daughter Dance to fundraise for reusable pads, because at that time, there were some of the girls that I had talked to, all they needed was access to a pad to use during their menses instead of using cloth and toilet paper. And remember, I had gone through the same issue that I had ever used toilet paper, and it's not safe. So I said I didn't have so much money. I decided to first fundraise for an event, and so that I would fundraise money to buy reusable pads. I did this for a number of years, and then I went for Yali. I created I created attraction when I applied. When I came back from Yali, the more I learned about design thinking, it asked me to always go back and understand if the interventions I've done are actually working. So it led me to go and ask the young girls I had actually given reusable pads, that had come out from the event of the father-daughter dance, if they were actually staying in school. So this showed the research I did, some had actually succeedingly and stayed in school, but some were still out of school. And this was a reason by the time some girls can't even afford a reusable pad, they don't have access to how to carry those pads. They don't have access to water. When they successfully carry their reusable pads and go to school, some schools do not have the time period within using those reusable pads is quite little to wash them and hang them. Sometimes they're the same. So it was still an inconvenience for them to be at school while having these usable pads that they would rather use them from home. So that's how I innovated the smart bag. So so you see the process was from asking, and then I first did the first prototype and still tested it, but still even with the first prototype, some girls were still staying out of school. Then I improved it to another prototype that was the recycled smart bag, and still there were still some girls staying out of school. Now I improved it even later to the recycled solar smart bag. So when I mean bottom to up, it's actually holistic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's really aligned with a lot of times I talk about community-based tourism, and that is similar, where you have to ask the needs of the community and build tourism around those needs. I just want to make sure that you're still there.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay,
don't worry
thank
about
you.
it. I was trying to check the internet.
Okay, thank you. And so with community-based tourism, you ask the people in the community, how can tourism serve them? How can it benefit them? And we've had similar conversations on this podcast about philanthropy and philanthropic efforts, where a lot of times people step in with this solution that they think is geared towards meeting the need, but they never ask the question of what is needed. And so they end up sometimes creating a structure that serves a need that isn't truly what would be best serving for the community. So I love that you are using that design thinking to ask the questions, to know the real problems, and then find solutions that actually create impact. And then also creating one solution, seeing how that works and letting it evolve, because a lot of times people maybe have either pride or limited time, and so they just do one level and like, well, I solved the problem, that's good enough, but without following up to ensure that that is actually working and is
Working,
adequate. Yeah, so I love that it was kind of, it has been this continually evolving project. With smart bags for girls, so you mentioned there's the rewashable products, but then there's also the bag that they can carry them in. And I've heard that as well. Oh, do you have one? I'm so curious about the solar that you were talking about. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And what does the solar allow for, Jamila? Why is that important?
So when I first designed the bag, was to have a component where the girls can carry their unused reusable pads that have been provided by us or any other partner. So a place that is safe where they can carry. I'm going to show you a little bit. Then when they get to school and they do not have time or the access to water or a place to wash the pads in the bag, there's also a component where they can keep their used reusable pads. So it's like, you wouldn't imagine a girl is carrying her reusable pads in here, so that when they get home, they can wash them. So while we're implementing, the first bag that we did was absolutely cloth, and it just had those two components, because that's what I was first solving, to give them convenience to be able to use the reusable pads. So I noticed it being cloth and Uganda being a very rainy season, when they would walk to school, since they walk quite a distance, the content will get wet. So that's when we also thought of getting recycled plastic waste and embed it into the bag to make it waterproof. Oh, by the way, there's also a component where they could carry their books and everything, and it's quite big. So later on, when we're doing research, the recycled smart bag worked wonders, because it was perfect. It was waterproof and it was amazing. But then some girls, when they got back home, they would, them being girls, they would first do a lot of housework in the evening. So by the time they would finish their housework, it was already dark. And most of where these girls come from, they come from rural areas and their toilets are detached from the main house. So they need to walk quite a distance. So at night, when you have a heavy flow, they couldn't access the wash facilities because it's dark and they don't have lighting. So the solar panel was to really, it charges a detachable light that helps the girls access toilets at night. But most importantly, late at night, when they don't have lighting at their homes, they could use them to read their books. Because it was also an issue, the fact that they were being out of school because of their messes, but in a return, they also were behind schoolwork since they couldn't be able to do their homework after dark. So the solar light helps them to be able to keep up with schoolwork, but also help around with the household. So that's why the solar panel came in. And we're even thinking later on, we are trying to innovate something and trying to refine and design a solar-powered reading tablet. Because of COVID, girls have been out of school quite a lot, and the issues of teenage pregnancies are increasing, so that they can be connected to the digital world, but also make it really quite user-friendly, since some of them don't access electricity. And the content we give in there, like we add a menstrual health management booklet, we add a kit on how to make more of them to make them more reusable pads. So the tablet will also help us add more content around sexual reproductive health that will be embedded within the tablet to avoid a lot of contact and doing a lot of activities, because COVID has proven to show we need to go a digital world. So that's how it all embeds in with a smart bag to absolutely make it smart and absolutely keep a girl in school during their menses, but it also in other situations that it can solve for them.
Yeah, oh, that's so brilliant. And again, spending time there, I can totally imagine that journey, because one of my favorite mornings I have ever spent traveling, actually, I was staying outside of a rural village, and I was probably, I don't know, maybe 2 miles from the school, and we were going to be meeting with the headmaster. And so I decided to walk to the school the morning like the children would be doing. It was beautiful, and I just thought I would do that. And as I was walking to the school, I could see the kids in their uniforms, and they were like bright red and bright yellow. And you could see these little trails of children like coming down the mountain towards the school where I was, and along the valley and the ridge line. And then as I approached the school, like all the children were walking in, and I was arriving, and they were very curious about what I was doing there. And it was so beautiful. Like it was just such a really cool morning for me to like be a part of a moment in time like that. But I can also then really understand when you're looking at a girl who is navigating what you said, like when you say they have to walk a long way to school, in context, that really is a very long way. So for people who are listening, I wouldn't have thought about that with products getting wet, school gear getting wet, and then to have to return home and do the chores. It is quite late in the evening by the time that they would be addressing their schoolwork. So I think that is just such an amazing way, like you said, to just keep adding on and answering the next question and the next hurdle. Because when girls do have to stay home, if you add up the numbers, it's so much time that they miss. And that was kind of one of the experiences that I had when I first learned about menstrual equity, was realizing what that actually meant for a girl to be missing that amount of time of school. And then at university or for a job, like if you can keep continuing to have to miss that much time, then you're losing jobs, you're having to switch jobs frequently because of that inconsistency in your performance. And I can only imagine if you also then have any sort of menstruation related health concern that makes you have irregular periods or longer periods where you can't even really plan around your cycle, that would be really difficult. So it's just really amazing to me how this enables girls to start out on the right path. So I would love to talk a little bit more about one of the next programs that you created with Girls with Tools. Can you talk about how that originated and what that allows?
So that one is amazing because first, as a person, because most of my programs come from my personal stories. When I was in primary school, I've always wanted to. My dream was to become an architect, but because I was really bad at physics, I found out it needed to be physics. And everybody told me I was stupid not stupid, that's all right, but my brain wasn't ready for physics. So I decided to take up business. So that has always been on my mind. So fast forward, when I'd finished campus and I was helping out young women, mostly who are young mothers, when I just gotten young mothers. So I would have them, I started something called the Mobile laundry business. So I was getting women and they would do a door-to-door hand washing. And later on, I would put them in entrepreneur and employable skills training. And after the training, I would have them stay in the cycle for only 3 months so that they can be able to launch their workshops. So I went still for Yali, came back. It became a hit because I started with only just like 3 or 5 ladies. It grew to 30 young women. But later on, after a few years, I noticed these young women were starting the same kind of businesses. They would start either market stalls, they would start either small food vending, or they would start small shops. And since they were from the same area, in the slum areas, they would end up struggle for clients. And if they would struggle for clients, they would end up back in their situations that I was trying to get them out, because most of them were either getting out of gender-based violence, they were violent husbands, or they were trying to get off of drug abuse, or they are like sex workers who are trying to get out of sex work. So I noticed I wasn't solving the problem. And one day I was watching an animation, it's called Zootopia, and it's of a young bunny that really wanted to become a policewoman. And I was very fascinated how this small thing wanted to compete with these huge men. So I kept on thinking, how do I challenge the young women here, but also challenge society to think that young women, even when without, as if they say weak brains, we can't take up careers that are not ideally meant for us, society believes are not meant for us. So after watching Zootopia, a friend of mine invited me to help him around market his garage, his mechanical garage. And because my qualification is business administration, I majored in marketing. I'm really a good marketeer. So I told him, but no, you can't afford me to market your garage. But what I want to inspire some of the girls that I've been helping in my Mobile to see if they can be challenged to take up and become mechanical engineers. And that's how the Girls with Tools was born. I started with the girls what I had in my prior kind of innovation, the Mobile laundry business. Now I inspired them to start learning mechanical engineering. And it was a hit when I put them in overalls and they started learning, they started attracting more girls. So we grew it from 5 girls. Now I empower over 200 girls. We added metal fabrication, we added carpentry, now we added construction. But don't get this wrong. We have some girls who can't take up, some young women who can't take up those career sets. So the ones who said, you know what, as much as this is cool, I can't do this. We enroll them now in our tailoring workshop, because the tailoring workshop, we teach them on how tailoring, and they're the ones who make the smart bags. So the idea is to inspire women, young women, mostly those who left school early and believe they do not have chances to bigger business, or they believe they're doomed to get small monies, to inspire them and show them, here, guess what, you can do much more, you can do this much. Yeah, so we train them in these skill sets, in these hands-on skill sets, and we try and make sure they get government certification in the industrial training. And later on, we inspire them to start their own business clubs. And those business clubs will even work with the lawyer to make sure they are registered. And with them, we get businesses at a revenue share. So, but they can still get businesses independently. Those who absolutely are not so entrepreneurial, we work with local workshops and companies who are in those skill sets to try and connect them to work. So it grew from 5 girls. Now we, even now, right now at the center I left, we are enrolling our new cohort and already have 100 girls registered who want to take up these skill sets. So that's what we call the Girls with Tools.
Oh, I love that all so much. And I have probably watched Utopia a million times with my children, and I have never looked at that power play and that dynamic. Like, I understood that she really wanted to be a cop, but I didn't really go with the metaphor that I'm sure was intended there of her being this little bunny trying to make it against all these big creatures that were all male. So that's a little mind-blowing for me. And I feel like we're such kindred spirits, because I remember when I was young, I really wanted to take the wood shop class at our school. And then I really wanted to take the small engines and the mechanics and the building classes, and there was no girls. And I would like stand outside and I would kind of look, and I would really like just wish someone would be like, "Are you interested in this?" But no one ever was. They were like, pretty much like, "Be careful, get away from here." And
Yeah.
so I
You know,
love
when
that.
I train the girls every day, I feel like they're living my dream. Like the girls who are in construction, when I see them, because everybody asks me all the time, do you know the things that you're teaching the girls? Or when my car like fails and I have to call them to, because I call them my girls and my women, and they call them to come and work on my car. Or the girls in electricity installation, where when they're at the, they've called them at a site, at a house, to measure up what the house needs for electricals. Like, I feel so fulfilled that they're actually living exactly what you're saying. They're living my dream. They're living what I was dreaming of when I was young. So I get so excited and emotional. But so when people tell me, "Do you actually know when you're teaching them?" I'm like, they know, so I know.
Yeah, it's so great. And I love that because that door was closed for you, you didn't allow for it to remain closed. You're like, no, 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 wait a second. Like, maybe it wasn't there for me, but I can make it there for somebody else. And I just think, I mean, that's where it all begins, right? As we ask the question and then we have to create the action. And I think that is so amazing. And those jobs, I mean, they're more sustainable, like you were mentioning, they pay higher, they're typically more respected in communities because they're held by men. I mean, that I think is, again, universal, not just Uganda, right? We're looking
Can I
at.
can I tell you a story of one of our girls? She's called Jennifer, and she comes from the far east of Uganda. And when she came to us, it's her father really. I was very empowered by this gentleman. He's the father has himself who enrolled her. And he kept on saying, "I don't know if this is going to work out. She failed in school. She's a failure, but I'm just doing this because I love my daughter so much." So when COVID happened, Jennifer was a hit. So she learned electrical engineering, and she had not yet even got her qualification. But during COVID, the lockdown last year, she was the one who was doing most of the electrical works in their village down there in Mayuge. Everybody calls her Engineer Jennifer. The father called me crying, and he could not believe it. He's like, "Oh my God, like the difference, the change, it has changed everything for her, the family." The father works like a king in the village because his daughter is being called an engineer. Like, you could think she runs the village, but just because she stood out and she said no to, the father accepted and said no to the fact that the society thought, since she had failed the A-level exams, so she's stupid, but she was actually talented. And it it's amazing. I don't know how to tell you this. It's amazing. Like, she can't stop saying thank you. But yes, it's us saying thank you because now she inspired more young women in the North to enroll for the program. So it's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. What I really thought of is my dad when he gets to say like how proud he is of his girls. And I know that that's something that a lot of fathers look to their sons to be that person that they're proud of, right? And they just know that their daughters are going to be that person. And so I just love that this creates a space where the girls get to be heroes and get to be the strong ones and get to be confident and have more control over their bodies and their lives and their livelihoods. So I'm really enraptured by this whole program, and I'm just so grateful that we're connected and I get to learn more about the work you're doing.
When you come to Uganda, it will be nice for you to come and check it out.
Yes.
At our center, we've set up a full center, learning center in the central, and we plan when we get funds to set up all these learning centers from all over the country. But start with the central, then go to the east, because before lockdown, we even had hostel facilities where we'd get girls from all over the country and learn, but because of COVID, we have to limit the numbers. So we plan to make sure we have centers in the different parts of the country and have them well equipped. So we make sure with each girl that comes in and pays to take up that fee, that it helps us enroll another girl who can't manage the fee to be enrolled. So it's the same thing with a bag. With each bag we sell, we make another bag that we give out for free. So all our clients who are buying or who are enrolling their daughters actually know that, and they do that self-willing because they know if my daughter, I've enrolled her at this fee, it's going to help another girl get the same exact empowerment that she couldn't afford, or because that a vocational skilling or hands-on skilling is quite expensive. So sometimes funding has reduced. We decide to, before we were doing only looking for funds and giving out, but we needed to be sustainable. So we have a dream of making sure we reach most of the girls in the country and later grow it even out of Uganda to East Africa and the whole of Africa.
I'm really excited to see you achieve your goal, because I feel like nothing is going to get in your way. So I hope that people listening are really inspired to learn more. And we can, I guess, talk a little bit about this now that I know one of your dreams too is to connect with travelers when they come to Uganda, to be able to share them show them the projects and have this become more of an educational experience, and kind of a community-based tourism experience as well. So I know that I will be there, so I'm grateful that I will get to have that experience. But for others that are planning to come to Uganda, just make sure that you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Jamila, and kind of be the beta test for what this program will look like in the future, and kind of know that it's in the works, because I think that will be really powerful. Because for me as a traveler, those are the experiences that really connect me to a place and make me feel like I'm a part of that world, and that we're all having this shared human experience. Like, those moments are so valuable. And so I really encourage people to seek that out, and not just go somewhere to go on safari or see it because it's a beautiful destination, but to actually really be immersed with people and learn about what their daily lives are, and to celebrate programs like this. So I hope that is really goes well for you. We talked about Girls with Tools, Smart Bags for Girls. Do you want to walk through either her startup or the Girls Health Program or mentorship? Is there one of those that you would like to expand upon?
So those are all embedded within both the programs, because the Girls with Tools and the Smart Bags are main programs. So her startup is actually, we've changed it to the Business Girl Magic, is really for young girls the girls who already graduated from the Girls with Tools, or young women who are started up businesses and they own their own businesses. So we started her startup to try and get mentorship and connect young women who have started up businesses to mentors, like-minded women who have been able to develop in business, to keep them inspired and running and determined not to give up on their startups. So we call it now the Business Girl Magic, where we organize coffee talks for the young girls, for the young women who've already started businesses, mostly from the Girls with Tools, and the ones who are already out there and have their own different businesses, to keep them running and to keep them like inspired. That there are women out there who have done it, who started where you're starting, so you can make it. Don't give up on your businesses. So that's embedded in all the programs, and mostly the Girls with Tools. So the health is also still, it comes with the menstrual hygiene, but it mostly comes in with the Girls with Tools, because at our center, what we do, we since we empower girls from all over the community, we do not care if she has kids, or she has like whatever she comes in, most important things that she wants the skill. So we noticed when we're enrolling them, when we're having the ones in hostel, we girls go through a lot of health issues, and sometimes we can't access them. So we do what we call peer collaborators and peer trainers, that we train in health matters, that they can talk to the girls, mostly the ones in Girls with Tools. And at the center, we make sure we have like a daycare for their kids, so that they can have free time when they're studying, and they're okay to know their kids are being taken care of. We have mental health awareness. This for them to understand, for you to be successful at work, your mental health comes first. You need to take care of yourself. You need to eat right. We have yoga and self-defense classes there, so that they can appreciate that their health comes first. They need, as much as you're working to survive and get money, you need to take care of your health and your kids' health, so that you can be able to achieve the goals you want to achieve. So this is done for the Girls with Tools at the center. We organize different health camps, and we do also peer collaborators that can go into the community and talk to young women and girls the importance of taking care of their health, their mental, sexual health, so that they can always achieve and not be and be able to take care of the generations that come after them. Yeah, so those are all embedded in both the programs, but our main programs are the Girls with Tools and Smart Bags for Girls.
I think that is also so brilliant. As an entrepreneur who spends a lot of time in women's circles of entrepreneurs here in the US, those are the themes we talk about, like who's going to mentor us, who's going to hold us accountable as our businesses grow, so that when you come up against the challenges that you'll face, you have a team that you can count on. Because when you own your own business, you don't have someone that you can lean on for support often. And so you really need that and able to ensure success. And then looking at, personal health care, mental care, I think that's what we spend a lot of time focusing on too, knowing that if you put everything into your business without taking care of yourself, then your business will still fail. And so learning how to understand how all of those pieces come together are so important. And I love that that is built into the model that you have created, so that it is, again, like this really holistic entity. Like, you're not just coming for this one piece and then sent out into the world without everything you need to actually succeed. And so I think
actually, because when we noticed COVID, what we used to do when COVID happened, this lockdown, so we had just opened up the school, and we had so much food because we provide with them lunch and supper, the ones who stay around. So we did like a food give out for the women who are in our neighborhood, so much. So we had a second lockdown this year. So this time we didn't have food because we're out of funds and everything. This also led me and challenged me, like, to empower the young women also in urban farming, because as much as you're working and you need to eat. So when you're saying holistic, we've really tried to make sure we put them in a safe space and a sense of mind that everything is encompassed to make sure you achieve and you succeed, to try and support them in every angle, but of course maximize on the other important things. So right now at our center, every girl owns like a plant or a vegetable that they can grow, to teach them, to inspire them, that when they go back in their small spaces, even when they can't access land, they can grow spinach, they can grow tomatoes, they can grow onions. And it's amazing how something small can also change a mindset. As much as she's a mechanic and she has something growing, she nurtures and she's seeing it like she's nurturing it like a kid, and later she has to eat, it has reduced her costs. So when you holistically empower and support young women, they can massively achieve. Most of these young women, because now they know how to take care of themselves health-wise. They know how to even grow their own food. They know they have the hands-on skills to give them economical sustainability. They easily take they're quick to take their kids to school. They're quick to make sure their kids do not go through the issues they went through. They are easy to say no to gender-based violence. It's like a ripple effect. Like it brings out the nation, that when you empower a woman, you empower the nation. Like the woman will make sure when she's empowered and the knowledge she's received will trickle down generations to generations. So it's very important when we design programs, you design solutions, even if you can't holistically make it, you bring on partners that can actually come on board. So I'm a very big believer on partnerships to holistically create a solution that will help a woman achieve and aspire, because when she achieves and aspires, she'll be able to make sure it trickles down to the generations that come after her. And yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, I mean, I just don't want to even say anything else. That's so like, that's it. I love how you've shared that. I mean, this is the message that I try to share as much as possible, is that it's not about educating one girl and keeping one girl in school. Like anything you do for one girl is so much far reaching beyond the one girl. And it's so important. And like you said, it will change your whole country. It will change our world if we can figure out how to create gender equity and keep girls in school and progressing forward and being equal members of our communities around the world. So yeah, with that, I don't know, is there anything else that you want to share? How can people, if they want to connect with you, how can they find you and how can they support you?
So we are expanding our Smart Bags program in South Africa, Limpopo. So with Gold Eagles Foundation there, we plan to have sales there, be business to business, where they would buy for people, they would give out, and all business to consumer. And with each bag we are selling in South Africa, we're making another that we're going to give out for free in Uganda. And we are also, even right now, while I'm at the summit in Ghana, we are also expanding to Ghana to try and help so many women with our smart bag, to expand the smart bag to be impactful for young girls in all over Africa. And later on, we're also expanding to Tanzania. So if you're in any of these countries, most of all South Africa or Ghana, and you feel you would love to support or affiliate with us, you can always contact me via our pages for Smart Girls Uganda, and also my personal pages. I'm very, very quick to reply. I'm always on social media because I am. People are they are quite amazing people out in the world who'll even just tell you, I love what you're doing. Can I buy 5 bags for a girl? So you can contact me on my pages, Jamila Mayanja, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also Smart Girls Foundation Uganda on Facebook, Smart Girls UG on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm also on LinkedIn, and so is Smart Girls on LinkedIn. So in any way you would want to just chat, if anybody just wants to chat, you want to be inspired, or tell you more about the girls we help, or if you want to buy a bag or two for a girl, or it works out, or you have a connection. So I'm always welcome. I'm always talking to people. I'm a very big believer of your networks are your net worth. I feel they have taken me in places that have helped me help more girls and women in whatever I do, both in Uganda and out of Uganda. Because the women I've met in South Africa, oh my God, the women I'm partnering with in South Africa is off the hook. Like, they are doing it themselves. They are helping me themselves. So it's because of the networks and people understanding and believing the work that I do. And because I do it with a clean heart, you wake me up at night and ask me, what do you do? I will immediately tell you women and girls empowerment and pour it out. So thank you so much, Christine, for giving me the platform to share. And I hope more people like you can come to Uganda through, because as you said, we're trying to have under us, there's so many people we know all over the world who have helped so much smart girls and want to travel to Uganda or even in other countries that we are going to base in going forward. We are scaling in to have our own give back community experience, whereby even if you come with your own travel costs or you come through a travel agency, we give you a give back experience. So you do not have to donate directly. You might want to come and donate with your own highs, your own smile, your own hug. So it all works in whatever way that anybody wants it.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that all so much. I love that you said it's so ingrained in your heart that if you were woken from a deep sleep, you would know exactly what you do. Again, like I feel like we have a very similar mission, and that's for me. And I know that your network will do wonderful things because, as you said, it's coming from your heart. It's not about you, it's about your love and your passion and how many girls that you can encourage to have big, beautiful lives. So thank you so much. Like, this is really for me the essence of Soul of Travel. So I appreciate this time together and our connection, and I look forward to seeing it grow.
Thank you.